Okay, we're a couple of months away from the Rule 5 draft, but I think it's a good time to talk about four players that the Yankees should consider protecting this draft. So let's get into this. Now, if you're unclear on what the Rule 5 draft is, I'll try to do my best to quickly explain it because it is a little bit confusing. Here's my best job of just quickly explaining it. Now, the Rule 5 draft is for players not on a team's 40-man roster. So the season ends, and then teams have to decide what they're going to do with their 40-man roster. So they protect players from the Rule 5 draft by adding them to the 40-man roster. And then in December, there's the draft, and any player who is not on a team's 40-man roster and has reached a certain amount of service time in the minors is eligible for this draft. If the player is selected in the draft, they are added to the team that just selected them, and then they are added to that team's 40-man and that team's active roster. Now, this has actually hurt the Yankees for the last couple of years. If you remember Garrett Whitlock, he was unprotected in the 2021 Rule 5 draft. He was selected by the Boston Red Sox, and since he's pitched to a sub 2.5 ERA in over 140 innings. Yeah, it can be pretty significant to nail this thing. And Yankees pitcher Ron Maranasio, he was protected by the Yankees before this season, and look at what he's become. It's an important thing and something not a lot of fans know about, so here are four players that the Yankees should consider protecting. The first one is Randy Vasquez. Now, Randy Vasquez is the Yankees' number 16th ranked prospect according to MLB Pipeline. He is a 23-year-old right-handed pitcher. He's mainly a two-pitch pitcher, his fastball and his curve. His fastball sits about 93-94 miles an hour, has some good spin on it, some deceptive movement, but his best pitch is the curveball. It sits about 80 miles an hour. It has a ton of spin on it and a lot of movement. I mean, yes, it's a pure 12-6 curveball. The drop is just beautiful on it. Then he also has a changeup, but he rarely ever uses it because it's a below average pitch. His main pitches are that fastball and the curveball. Now, he has actually been a starter, but I think he will pan out more as a reliever. But in 95 and two-third innings pitched in the minors this season, he has a 4.05 ERA and 3.93 FIP. Not the most impressive, but again, he profiles more as a reliever. He strikes out a little over 9 batters per 9. His walk rate is slightly high at 3.5. So I think he could be someone that the Yankees protect in the Rule 5 draft, make him a bullpen arm. Then all of a sudden you have a decent fastball. Maybe he throws a little harder out of the pen, throws 95, 96, throws the curveball a little harder, gets more movement on it. I think he's someone the Yankees might protect just because he looks to be like a solid reliever. Next is Antonio Gomez. Now, Antonio Gomez is the Yankees' number 18th ranked prospect according to MLB Pipeline. He's a 20-year-old catcher, and in 65 games this season with the Tampa Tarpoons, the Yankees' low-A affiliate, he's hitting .264 with a .340 on-base percentage, .346 slugging, for an OPS of .686. Not the most impressive there, but remember, he's a catcher, and what's he really good at doing? Catching. He has an amazing arm behind the plate. He also has really low pop times, which is very important when it comes to throwing runners out. It's very hard for guys to run off of him. You watch clips, he releases the ball extremely quickly, has a cannon arm. People don't steal on him. He's also good behind the plate. Looks like he frames pitches well. Doesn't let too many pitches get behind him. He's a good bit away from the majors. So it's going to be interesting to see if the Yankees do add him to the 40-man roster. Because will a team really pick him in the Rule 5 draft and call him up to the majors immediately? I don't know. But he's definitely someone to consider. Next is Edgar Barclay. Now, Barclay is the Yankees' 28th ranked prospect according to MLB Pipeline, and he is a 24-year-old left-handed pitcher. He started and relieved a little bit this season in the minors, and in 53 and 2/3 innings with the Hudson Valley Renegades, Yankees High A affiliate, he's pitched to a 1.84 ERA and 2.4 FIP. Not too bad there. He's striking out a little over 11 batters per 9, and he's walking around 3 batters per 9. He's another guy who profiles slightly more as a bullpen option, though, because his fastball is in the low 90s. His slider is also low 90s, but his best pitch is his changeup. So slider and the changeup are low 80s, not low 90s. My bad there, misspoke. But his low 80 changeup has really good movement, really good deception. He reminds me of Wandy Peralta in a little. Someone who doesn't throw the hardest, but has a really filthy changeup that gets a lot of whiffs. He's playing at High A right now. I think there are going to be some teams that would want to add him to their roster and put him in the bullpen. I think the Yankees should protect him at the Rule 5 draft. Next is Anthony Siegler. Now, Siegler is unranked on MLB Pipeline. I think that's a little inaccurate here. I think he's better than that. He's the Yankees' first-round pick in 2018. He's a switch-hitting catcher. As I said, Pipeline doesn't have him ranked, but I think he should be. Pipeline doesn't rank some people who do deserve it, though. For instance, Kiner Delgado, who in my mind is one of the Yankees' most underrated prospects. I did a whole video about him, which I'll link in the description. So Pipeline, just because they don't rank him, doesn't mean he's not a good player. So far this season, with the low A Tampa Tarpoons and high A Hudson Valley Renegades, he's hitting .242 with a .416 on base percentage, .390 slugging for an OPS of .806. Switch hitting catcher, he's athletic behind the plate, a good defender. I think he's someone the Yankees should consider adding because it's hard to have good catching prospects. It really is, especially someone who's going to stick behind the plate. Austin Wells, one of the Yankees' top catching prospects right now, doesn't look like he's going to stick behind the plate. He's probably going to need to move to somewhere like first base. I think it would not be a bad idea to add Siegler. He's going to need more time to develop in the minors, but it's hard to have good catching prospects, so I think that the Yankees should definitely consider adding him to their 40-man roster and protect him from the Rule 5 draft. So those are 4 players that I think the Yankees should consider adding to their 40-man roster when the season ends to protect them from the Rule 5 draft. If you have any players that I missed, make sure you put them in the comments below. So we'll have to see what the Yankees do at the Rule 5 draft.